the NFL floated out something yesterday, and they don't do this accidentally. So Troy Vincent, I don't know what his official title is, but he's one of the higher-ups with the NFL home office. Now, what they're talking about doing is the competition committee is discussing the possibility of authorizing replay officials to throw flags for specific penalties. So this is something that would be done remotely. Troy Vincent is the executive vice president of football operations, and he suggested this. He wasn't asked, he suggested this yesterday while talking to reporters during a break in the competition committee meeting. So these would be situations that somebody who's not there but is watching this would then inform the officials on the field that they have seen something that needs to be called. Now, this could be something away from the play. It could be somebody who took a cheap shot. Maybe there's a hold. Like, I don't know how far you go with this, but it's tricky. And Troy Vincent even says you don't want to open up Pandora's box, but that's what you're doing. If something happens on the field, when do you feel the need to call that? If it has nothing to do with the play itself, but it is a penalty, a foul, do you call that? How we want to get it right, correct? That's the goal, to get it right. I don't think you can kind of go, well, we do, but we don't want to slow down the game. If you do this, then you're saying given that the billions and billions of dollars that are gambled, we have to get these calls right. Certainly the calls that are right in front of us. Certainly the calls that have to do with the play itself. But if you're going to have somebody, an eye in the sky or whatever it's going to be, how involved do they get? How many opportunities do they get? Do we put a limit on the number? Once again, if the goal is to get it right, then get it right. If you have the technology to get it right, then get it right. I just don't think you can fall back on the baseball. Well, that's just part of baseball's charm. Missing a play, making the wrong call. It's just part of baseball's charm. Nobody's ever said that about the NFL. It's just the charm of the NFL. Baseball, we're like, I missed it. Neighborhood call. The strike zone's a little spotty there. Just baseball. Well, it shouldn't be. That's just baseball. We shouldn't have allowed umpires to have their own strike zone. Like, how crazy is that? That's his interpretation. He'll give you the high strike. What? It's either a strike or a ball. It's either outside or it's on the black. I mean, it's just Glavine and Maddox, they're going to get those calls. Why? Why do we have special rules for special players? Aren't they already good enough? So if you're going to do this, I think you got to go all in and say, we're going to be trying to make the right call. Now, you can say, well, it's going to interrupt the flow of the game. Well, football doesn't have a flow. Basketball has a flow. When you think of all the sports, basketball, it's like, oh, my God, another whistle. Final 2 minutes, oh, this is forever. That's not necessarily the case with other sports. But with football, it's choppy. Baseball's choppy. Basketball, you want a little bit more of a flow there. But you don't just suggest this if you're in the front office of the National Football League. This feels like, hey, why don't you guys chop this up? Why don't you guys talk about this? You guys discuss. Why don't you do some work for us, and then we'll get the feedback from you? Because that's what I think happened yesterday. Yeah, Paulie.
Let's say the NFL enacted this and made it only replay enforcement for personal fouls that weren't caught by the refs on the field, right? They just did that. And then there's a play away from the ball where there's a lineman 10 yards downfield on a touchdown pass, and they can't look at that. Isn't that the danger there, is that they could look at one and not the other?
Well, you got to decide what is open to interpretation. I mean, that's what I would want to know. If let's say this is my job, and how much do I want to insert myself into this game? Now, we don't know who you are because you won't be there on the field. How do the officials on the field feel? Are they just going to be throwing more flags to protect themselves instead of having somebody say, you guys missed that? And then you have to get on the microphone and say, upon further review, there was holding or a lineman downfield. Your job is to get the call right. I'm not worried about your ego on the field, but I just don't know how far the NFL would take this. Yes, Todd.
And there's a certain amount of interpretation when, there's a running back runs through a hole on the left side, but there was egregious holding more towards the middle of the pack or the right side, which didn't really interfere with that particular play. But it's so egregious. Can we really wink at that, even though it didn't cause the opening for the running back?
Yeah. Once again, he didn't want to open up a Pandora's box, but that's what this does. It opens up a Pandora's box of what's that role? How many calls does he make? Are there going to be a certain number of calls that he will make? There can be sort of a silent count of the number of flags that we want you to be able to call, like over, under, how about 6 of these? Let's not make this where those on the field aren't doing their job. It's somebody who's watching in, a place that's cordoned off from the field and watching all these monitors. But I want you to get it right. If I'm gambling, I want you to get this correct. And the NFL's gone all in on gambling. You have to go all in on protecting the bettors as well. And I think that's a treat. You're not going to put that in the language, but that's what this is all about.
Yeah. You might as well now.
Yes. In an effort to protect the integrity of gambling. Yes, Todd.
And an allotment of calls is a problem, too. Say they had their 5 or 6, and then something happens in the fourth quarter, which is one of the biggest part of the game, and they can't do anything about it because they already did their 6.
Well, nobody's going to know that. It's not going to be public.
Well, they wouldn't be able to keep track of that.
Well,
like with a coach that, he can't throw the red challenge flag a certain number. He can only throw it a certain number of times.
We don't even know who that person's going to be. It's not like you go, that guy, he calls a lot of flags here. We don't know who that person is. And it's not like you're going to go, wait, there's been 6 of them. Now there's not going to be another one. I'm just suggesting if I'm the NFL, I want you to police the game. I don't want you to be the game. I don't want you to be more involved. Be stealth is what I would probably say. Be smart with this. Make sure we get the ones that we have to get. If we miss a illegal chop block on the other side of the field, okay, we'll live with that. But you can't have a situation like you had with the Rams and the Saints a couple of years in the playoffs where they missed, helmet to helmet, and they missed an obvious pass interference. And that was in the playoffs. Yes, Eaton.
Just make holding legal
I know.
for linemen. That removes that from you're doing it on every single play, regardless. Now it's legal. Don't worry, you just can't hold by the collar, but you can hold anywhere else. And then that opens up the space for the more egregious violations like you were just describing.
Yeah. Well, how about we just, and Paulie mentioned this, give them mittens.
Yeah, mittens. That solves everything.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to hold with your mittens, go ahead. I mean, there's holding on every play anyway. But now it's got to be above and beyond the Call of Duty. Yeah, Paulie.
If you remember, Dan, 3 years ago, we played Good Idea, Bad Idea to cut down on calls in the NFL. Each ref gets 2 flags and only gets 2 for the game. So he has to use them when it's a really big foul. When he's out, he's out. He has to leave the field.
Bad idea.
Bad idea. Like shot down quickly.
Yes, Todd.
If you have a strong opposable thumb with the mitten, you'd be surprised. You could probably get a little holding in there. Everybody start working out their thumbs, the offensive lineman, instead of squatting.
At the combine,
let me see your muscular thumb.
We're going to be testing out the back judge's thumbs.
Have like thumb wrestling.
Yeah.